time. Aloha. Aloha. Thank you so much for indulging me tonight to have a few moments together. And, you know, I suspect I'm the least intelligent individual here at this conference, which makes me feel quite comfortable. To come to a group of philosophers is a bit daunting and very refreshing also, because as you know, much of my other time is spent at the legislature, which is an entirely different experience. As was shared, I came to Hawaii as a physician, came with the National Health Service, and I mentioned that only really tonight to I guess reflect on the perspective that the East-West Center always works toward, which is health and wellness and peace. And I'm told that that is going to be very central to what you discuss and reflect on this week. So I'm grateful for that. I know that you, as leaders in the disciplines of philosophy, are reflective and you ask the toughest questions. And I'm grateful that there are still people out there that spend their lives reflecting on the deeper questions, because things have become quite challenging when I think that there is a less than deep perspective that's often offered to us across the globe, whether it's political, geopolitical, which is very, very distressing to me and all of us right now, I believe. But it is something that I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for Roger. Thank you very much. Tamara and Peter. Let's give them a round of applause because they brought us together tonight. Thank you. Very wonderful. So this year's theme on the intersections and complexities of trauma is not lost on us. It's very, very poignant in the moment. And I will tell you that as governor, that has been central to all that we have had to wrestle with in these past months and frankly these past few years. We are trying very hard to deal with the trauma of what happened on Maui on August 8th, just last year. It is just under 300 days since that occurred, but it feels like it was only yesterday that we had this moment in time that, for practical discussion, took 102 lives from us, but from the perspective of a society and how deeply it penetrates us, it's had a very, very large impact. I'll just say, for those who are not living in Hawaii right now, it displaced 13,000 people on an island of about 140,000. So 1 out of 11 people had to find a new place to live, which means that it affected every single individual on Maui. It took what they had, what they'd accumulated, their memories away from them. It took some of their loved ones. And what it really has forced us to do is ask many questions about how we treat one another in this society. It laid bare the conflict we have over having a home for people. Many people lost their home in that moment, but we learned that many thousands more couldn't find a home because Hawaii is so desirable to so many across the planet that there are very, very few opportunities to actually have your own home, particularly on Maui. And if there can ever be any good news from a tragedy, it taught us very quickly in the moment that we had to respect those who protested on the beach and those who demanded that we change laws so that people could get homes more readily. And that is a good thing. A dialogue broke out as a result of the fire and almost immediately resulted in meaningful change. And so what I want to say in this moment is that dialogue does matter and ideas do matter. And they can come from the strangest moments, and they can also come from moments where we come together from across the globe. And I hope that you have an opportunity to reflect on what's happened in Hawaii these past 10 months, because I think it will be very informative to us as a people. So I was also a part of government, and I worked as a doctor until last year, full-time, until they wouldn't let me any longer, honestly. There are rules which I don't usually follow, and I was able to witness the pandemic, and that was another experience that for several years didn't just affect those who caught the virus. It had a deep, deep impact on everyone who had to shelter in place and who had to find a new way to connect. And it was extremely difficult with so many unknowns. In some ways, not unlike many of the philosophical questions we wrestle with, which have deep unknowns. Only this one also carried with it an uncertainty in practical terms, where we had to all settle down for 2+ years. And we are already an isolated society here in beautiful Hawaii, though this is the gathering place, Oahu, and I'm grateful that you're gathering here. But as was said before, it's been now 8 years since we were able to gather in a way that we would like. And that's a long stretch of time for people who are thought leaders, who like to come together and who like to actually work through challenges and problems. So I'm grateful to have you all back. So these were some of the questions that we went through, and I will tell you, there were existential questions that we wrestled with during the pandemic. There was a moment, and I thought this might be interesting to those of you, because I've sadly not had as much time to really be as thoughtful as I might like. But the moments that a governor or a lieutenant governor in that case, is forced to deal with was, for example, we came to a point where there were only 4 days of oxygen left in the state for the many thousands of people that needed it. And it raised a question of whether we would ration care or not, whether we would actually make a determination based on other things than just health. And that, I have to tell you, in a traumatic moment, was very, very difficult to wrestle with. And I never thought that kind of question would actually be raised in a moment as a lieutenant governor or governor. And on its surface, some people took it much too lightly and thought that it could simply be done because it had to be done. And there was a small revolt, which most will never hear about, in order to make sure that we didn't have to come to that question. But these were extraordinary times, and I just wanted to share that I'm grateful that there are people out there thinking in advance, not during a crisis, about what we would do for humanity when resources are truly limited or challenges arise that are impossible to otherwise wrestle with. So I'm grateful that you're here for that. I will tell you that what happened with COVID demonstrated a true connectedness of all of us across the globe and all of mankind. I think it cannot be denied any longer that we are all connected one way or another. There is no way, at least in my experience, that we could ever suggest again that what we do here will not affect someone else somewhere far away. In that case, it was a virus, but ideas can be just as powerful as a virus, in my opinion. And I hope that the best ideas will prevail in times that are somewhat uncertain. So I guess as I come to a close in this short speech, I wanted to say we're recovering. And we're grateful to have people come back and come together. It fuels our recovery as a people, whether it's globally from the COVID experience or locally from the experience with the wildfire. It helps a great deal. It is very meaningful to me to see individuals come from Bulgaria and from upstate New York. That's right, our Bulgarian, yes. And France and Nigeria and all of these extraordinary places in China. It is important to bring people together. It is likely the way that we will prevent conflicts that are beyond disastrous, like the wars that we're seeing. Bringing people together will ultimately be the way, even when we have differences of opinion, will help us to find a way out of those tragic moments. And so again, as governor, I'm so happy to welcome you. I'm grateful that you welcome me, as was said. I'm grateful that you will be able to debate these questions of healing and trauma, because that is very central to what I believe we have to all talk about. So thank you for recognizing these challenges. I wish you great luck and great skilled discussion and debate with the best minds that I've come across in quite some time. So again, thank you for welcoming me. Blessings to you from the state of Hawaii.